This little fellow is an Icenia fetida, better known as a tiger or red worm, and it loves rich organic matter which normally goes to waste. It can convert organic matter into solid and liquid plant food or fertilizer. And while he may not be the most endearing member of the animal kingdom, he's very useful to have around because he, along with his friends, can generate an exceptionally effective organic fertilizer that are used to grow fruits and vegetables. More and more people prefer to consume fruits and vegetables that are grown the organic way. Worm fertilizer is organic, environmentally friendly, and cost very little money to produce. 4,000 worms can recycle half a kilo of organic waste every day. 12,000 worms can recycle more than a ton of organic waste per year. The best way to domesticate worms is in a domestic worm farm or a worm bin. First of all, you're going to need something to house your wormery in. This is one of the best systems available. The stackable tower system. It's adaptable in size according to the needs of the household, easy to maintain, and can easily separate the fertilizer and the worm tea. How do we set it up? First, you're going to find a spot, ideally out of direct sunlight, for your wormery. This can be either in or outdoors. The worms should be protected from any extreme temperatures. If inside, a dark corner of the garage, garden shed, or a utility room are good places. If outside, any shaded area that doesn't get too much sun is ideal. Now that we've found a nice place for our bin, let's prepare for the worms. The tiger worm really enjoys a moist environment in which to live and lay their eggs. A mixture of torn up newspaper strips about 2,5 centimeters wide, topsoil, and a handful of sand will make adequate bedding. Soak the torn up newspaper in a container of dechlorinated water for approximately 1 hour. Then drain before you add it to the worm farm. Your newspaper should be at least 7 to 10 centimeters after it has been soaked. Then add your topsoil and your sand. And it must be quite damp, about the consistency of a squeezed out sponge, moist and slightly soggy. Now you can add your worms. You need a population of at least 500 of tiger worms to get started. Give the worms a few minutes to settle in their new home. Add a layer of approximately 5 centimeters of organic matter or worm food onto half the surface area. But what do worms eat? Most vegetables, peelings, and fruits are good, as are old tea bags and tea leaves, coffee grounds, old bread, and stale biscuits soaked in water, cereals, and so forth. Avoid any citrus fruits like orange and lemons, meat, oils, vinegar, onions, garlic, or spicy leftovers. Now cover the surface with a wet piece of soaked newspaper or old piece of sack cloth or hessian cloth. This will act as an extra barrier against pests like flies and keep the contents moist for longer. Add the top tray and lid. Your worms should be happy now for several days. You need to check your wormery daily to ensure that their environment doesn't dry out. Make sure the worms have enough food, but don't overfeed them. They will eat approximately half their own body weight of food in a day. Oversupplying them may create unpleasant odors as the scraps will begin to rot. A healthy worm farm never smells. If it smells, it could be due to too much food or putting the incorrect type of food into the worm farm. Healthy, happy worms will multiply their numbers, and in about 3 months, your wormery population will have doubled. So gradually increase the amount of food you give them to work with. Here's a useful tip for you. If you chop or mince up the waste food given to them, this will help speed up the process and bring harvest time forward. After 4 to 6 months, the middle bin, which contains all your worms, should be full. The process is the same whether you use a single bin or a stackable tower system. Inside your wormery, things will have changed quite dramatically. All the organic matter that you've been adding will have been converted into beautiful, earthy fertilizer. Now we have to separate the worms from the fertilizer. Carefully tip the entire contents of the wormery onto a plastic sheet or concrete slab. Shape it into a cone. The worms, who have a dislike of daylight, will burrow down to avoid it. Give the worms at least 5 minutes to burrow deeper. In about 30 minutes you'll be left with a wriggling mass of worms on one side and some very nutrient-rich fertilizer on the other. Now is not a good time to stand back and admire your harvest. Worms dry out quite quickly, and they should be returned to their re-established wormery as soon as possible. Quickly add your worms to your re-established worm bin, add some organic waste, and cover them. The fertilizer that you now have, liquid and solid, is exceptionally nutritious and is ideal to grow healthy fruit and veggies, as well as improving your lawn, roses, and orchids. Because it is a very potent fertilizer, you can be sparing in its use. Just a small handful watered into the soil around the base of a plant is plenty, as is just a handful mixed with soil when transplanting, and it will give any form of vegetables a very good start. Composting your organic waste saves precious landfill space and decreases methane emissions, contributing to climate change. It also serves to put important nutrients back into the ground. Composting is easy. You can do your own composting with little effort.